Hello and welcome to what is unfortunately not a live event where we can invite you into the school, but instead hopefully a very short brief video where I just share with you the information your children received today in their assembly and a bit of clarity around our rank order assessments for our year 8s at this time of the year. I'm Fiona Copley, I'm the assistant head responsible for Key Stage 3 raising standards. And if you have any questions following this and having spoken to your children and having looked at the resources that they're bringing home, then please don't hesitate to email me or get in touch with the class of 2027 year team, and we will endeavour to answer any questions you might have. So I'm going to start with a quick timeline of what's happening. So this morning your children had an assembly where we gave them an awful lot of information, very similar to the information I'm going to give you now. I explained that the event this evening had been cancelled and that this video would be available, and have asked them to share with you their thoughts and the material that they're being given at the end of the day to take home. By this evening, all the revision resources will be on their Year 8 class teams, so anything that they need, they should be able to access via their class teams for Year 8. Then our rank order assessments actually start on the 17th of January and last a fortnight. We're aware that there may possibly be children off ill through no fault of their own, so there is an assessment catch-up period so that we make sure that every child has the chance to do all the assessments. 1st of March we'll send you the reports home ready for our parents' evenings on the 2nd and 3rd of March, and then after half term we will restream. So having given you a bit of a timeline, let's get into a bit of detail about what rank order assessment is. So it's a process where we formally test every student in every subject. This isn't just about maths, English and science, it's art, it's geography, it's RE, it's every subject that our students take, and we rank them in each subject and overall. And every time a student does this process, and it'll happen again for Year 8 at the end of the year, and it will happen again in the middle of Year 9, students are able to compare themselves against their last ranking, and I think that's really important, that they're wanting to show progress for themselves, not against necessarily their peers. The overall rank we will use to stream students so that we make sure that the students, your children, are in the best place to make the best progress going forwards. Why do we do it? Really, we know how hard your children work. We know that they get stuck into their homework, that they spend lesson time incredibly focused, and they want to be successful. And this is a way that we feel we can help our students to be motivated, to achieve fantastic outcomes, to showcase the hard work and to celebrate the work that they're doing day in, day out. As well as all of that, GCSE is a large-scale rank order, and so I think, and we as a school believe deeply, that it's really important that you and your children know where you sit within that ranking before you get to the GCSEs, whilst your child and you still have time to do something about it. So if your child's not happy with where they are, then we can work together to help them to do better. So there's real transparency, hopefully, around your child's progress through this process. So this subject support pack, they'll have brought home a hard copy of this with them after school today, and each tutor group, each stream has their own assessment timetable, so you can see that and you can see where their assessments lie in that fortnightly period. Alongside that, every single subject has provided information about the assessment. How long is it? How many marks is it? What's in there? Exactly, explicitly splitting the topics that are going to be covered in every single assessment. And alongside that are the resources that students have to help them revise and prepare. Now, I've already discussed that every single one of those lists, for every subject, there is a Teams revision video, which is sort of the first place to go. And then there's all these other resources, depending on the subject, for your children to access and support them with being as prepared as possible. So what can you do to support from home? Well, obviously attendance is crucial, getting into school to make sure that they're involved in those revision lessons. Whatever anxiety our children have about this process, it's important that they go through this process so that by the time they get to year 11, when it really is very high stakes, this becomes the norm, doing these assessments. But also doing it with their peers, however anxious they are, is better than doing it in catch up. So however anxious your children are, please get them into school, get them going through the process with their peers. We will give them support, make sure that they've got the confidence to know what they're doing. Tutors will be supporting in AM registration, etc., to make sure that this is as positive experience as possible. Support with the homework. During the period of their ROAs and this period before their ROAs, the homework has been cut right back, so there is time given within the homework period to do some independent study. And tutors will be supporting our students with filling in those grids in their homework planners and using that time. So please, supporting your children to make sure that they're using that time wisely and that they're being quite purposeful with doing some revision would be really helpful. The more prepared our children feel, the easier the whole process will be, the less anxious they'll be. Making sure they've got the correct equipment, encouraging them to use the support pack because there is a wealth of information in there, and reminding your children that we're here to support, and if they've got any questions they just need to ask, whether it's a tutor, whether it's me, whether it's the year team, we are quite happy to help and support. So what will these look like? The core assessments are going to be sat in the exam hall as a whole year group, so that's maths, English and science. And yes, that will be the first time that year 8 have ever done this, but by the time they get to year 11, it'll be the norm, there'll be no anxiety. It's a really good process to help them prepare. All their other assessments will be sat in classrooms. However, there will still be those exam conditions with clear expectations, and children will be expected to be exam ready. Now, exam ready is very specific, and tutors will remind and go through this with your children nearer the time. But what that really means is hair needs to be tied back. We need to be able to see children's ears. They have to not wear a watch. Mobile phones need to be switched off and not out. Equipment in a clear pencil case. So these are all things that are in place for GCSEs that we encourage children to start practicing now, so that term exam ready is meaningful and is the norm. The core exams in the hall, students will come home with a personalised assessment timetable, so that will show where those exams are and their seat, so that students are assigned a seat and they go into the exam hall and sit on their seat. And you know, we really want this to be a process that year 8 can be proud of, that they can use to celebrate the hard work and their achievements, and we want them to enjoy the process of showcasing their learning. So what happens after they've done these ROAs? Well, we spend an awful lot of time looking at your children holistically. So myself and Mr. Plunkett, your child's your head of year, sit together with the data and the context of your children, and we've worked really hard to make sure that they're put in the right stream. Once we've done that and we look at that, if your child is going to move down a stream, then you will be contacted so that that rationale is explained and there's no surprises before your child is in school and gets their report to bring home to you. So Mrs. Wallace-Northridge puts together the homework plan, and you'll be able to see here that there is regular homework being set, but it's short, much shorter than normally set, and then there's this revision task each day, and this is where tutors will support your children in filling out what we feel would be beneficial for them to be studying, and they can go on to Teams, get that subject video and be purposeful with their time to be as prepared as possible. These revision strategies are included in the subject pages and give them some suggestions of effective ways to revise, and Miss Wallace-Northridge discussed with your children in assembly today how to do successful revision, and really emphasised the need for them to turn their phones off and be purposeful, and also little and often. We don't want children spending hours and hours and hours. It's not effective, it's not good for their well-being. Which leads me on to this. Mr. Plunkett spoke in assembly this morning about the importance of our children's well-being. We expect children to be anxious. It's because they're invested and they care, and a little bit of anxiety helps us to perform well, but we don't want anybody being over anxious. So there's lots of things, making sure that the children are still getting some exercise, doing their clubs, sleeping well, eating well, and if there's anything that we as a team can do to support, then it's just about reaching out and getting us to support and help. In addition, Mr. Plunkett shared these are some of the resources or things that we can access or that we can support you in accessing if you need more help. And certainly a lot of these, I know, like Couth, if you just Google it, there's a link, and it's something that can be very beneficial for students if they need more than they're currently getting. But certainly if you need any support, that's something that you can get in touch with us about, and we can direct you to the best places to get support and help if we need more than just what we can provide in school. So thank you so much for listening to me. As I said at the start, it's such a shame that we've not been able to do this in person and have you welcomed into the school to see where your children are. Hopefully next time. But in the meantime, if you do have any questions, my name's Fiona Copley. Please email the school, email me, email Mr. Plunkett or the class of 2027, and we would really be happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.